So now we get to the people, and I mean all of the people. So often when you're doing investing, we think about two stakeholder groups. We think about the entrepreneurs we're trying to get capital to, and we think about the people we're trying to raise capital from. So in this approach, we're looking at a whole ecosystem of relationships. It's all of the stakeholders who might care about the thriving of our local economy. And so that includes individuals and families, the people in our neighborhoods that are part of the thriving of the economy or being left out of it. It includes the community-based organizations, the advocacy groups, the neighborhood associations, the main streets groups, right? It includes workers and all of the organizations that represent workers, like unions, worker services organizations. Of course, it includes the local businesses. They're in there. Donors and foundations, they care about the thriving and well-being of the local community. And social investors. So social investors as individuals apart from the group below the line who are institutional. So think above the line as more individuals and groups. And below the line, we have the banks and the other financial groups like the CDFIs and the CDCs. The role of government that's in our community that cares deeply about the well-being of our place. The eds and the meds, the hospitals and the universities, the anchor institutions, the faith-based institutions. These are all institutions that stay in our community and have a big influence on the opportunity or the lack thereof of economic mobility and resilience. And so when we look at all of these people, we're saying, how do we design a fund that is engaging with all of the folks? Because there are so many assets among all of these stakeholder groups. So for showing this, I'm just going to give an example of what I think of really for BII as nested systems, right? You've got the core team at the center, right? You've got the leadership and the staff that's doing all of the work, and they are nested inside of a set of governing bodies, right? The board of directors and the investment committee. And these folks are coming from many different backgrounds. Some of them are community organizers. Some are coming from financial institutions. Some are coming from base building organizations, foundations. So we're really trying to draw as many different types of stakeholders into our governing bodies as possible. And that group is nested inside a much larger ecosystem of partners. If I had different graphic design skills, I would show you an ecosystem of relationships, like a network map where everybody is linked to everyone else. But some of these here, you see the supported organizations, those are a particular structure I'll say more about in the next section, but they are community-based organizations that govern this work. The legal partners, so there is no investing activity that doesn't happen without a tremendous amount of legal support. In our case, it's pro bono legal support, but there's lots of legal partners, not one. You see 5 different groups there. Strategic partners, I won't go through all of these, but they're coming from, again, organizing groups like the Boston Ujima Project, from business associations like the Black Economic Council of Massachusetts, from teaching organizations like the Just Economy Institute and Impact Finance Center, from back office partners like Possibility Labs and Mission Driven Finance, from grassroots groups like New Economy Coalition, and then of course all of the philanthropic support that's coming both locally and nationally. And this is really just a snapshot. This is not representative of all of the relationships that we're in. There was an exercise that we did a number of years ago of mapping all of the organizations, and the city of Boston was engaged in mapping all of the organizations that were here to support women and minority-owned businesses. And there were 350 capital partners and 250 technical assistance partners that were in the greater Boston area trying to do that work. So it's a rich, robust ecosystem in Boston. Now, we are a dense urban center, and you're going to find in other places, a rural area, you might have 1 or 2 of different types of partners. But again, it's really critical to do the work of mapping the ecosystem and seeing who's already here, who's already trying to do good work. And if they're not succeeding at filling a gap, then how could strengthening a relationship with them together enable you to start solving problems that neither of you could solve alone?